My name is Talene Shamlian, and this is Julia Webber, and we are ambassadors for the New South Wales Government's Women's Financial Toolkit. It's your future. We firstly want to acknowledge this meeting is being held on the traditional lands of the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, and we pay our respect to elders both past, present, and future.
Both Talene and I have a background in finance, and we share a passion to empower women to both understand and manage their financial affairs. I'm dedicated to contributing to the community, starting with the publication of a self-help book for teenage girls at age 14 with a focus on anti-bullying. Whilst at university, I became a financial literacy ambassador and have developed financial literacy content in the hopes of solving the foundational issues that create monetary struggles for all Australians. I have taught financial literacy to young people all over Newcastle, the Hunter and Central Coast regions, as well as online content in collaboration with the Advocate for Children and Young People. My work in the financial literacy space saw me shortlisted as a finalist for the New South Wales Young Woman of the Year Award in 2020, and I continue to advocate for the younger generations to take charge of their financial lives.
And I'm Managing Director at Advisory Street, which is an economics and public policy firm who works closely with boards and CEOs of various corporate and not-for-profit organisations to help them build stronger relationships with government. Prior to this, I worked for a very long time in financial services at the Commonwealth Bank and at Visa, and I've worked with a range of different organisations through the Banking Royal Commission to make sure that their initiatives and programs are there to support the community and customers. And I have a strong passion in making sure that financial security and literacy is at the heart of these measures. Prior to that, I also worked in Canberra in Commonwealth Treasury, and I worked on a range of different tax, superannuation, and budget issues. My personal interest and passion for women's financial literacy really came about from growing up with my two grandmothers, both of whom had faced very hard situations in their life where they lost their husband or their father and have had to make sure that they were financially secure through their lives. And this was something that was a really important lesson for me growing up. But enough about us. Let's chat about the Women's Financial Toolkit, which is a guide to empower women to be confident money managers and to learn more about securing their financial futures. The toolkit was developed through the New South Wales Council for Women's Economic Opportunity, of which I am a member. The Council advises the New South Wales Minister for Women and is made up with a group of experts from all walks of life, whether they're from business or industry or not-for-profits or within the government sector. And the Council really is here to make sure that we can improve women's financial well-being and security and support the diverse and flexible employment opportunities for women and girls. Through the work of the Council, I was able to bring my expertise and develop the resources aimed at supporting women with economic education and opportunities.
Thanks to the work of the Council, we now have an important resource that is free for women to access at any time from any smart device, including a phone, tablet, or PC. The toolkit is designed to be a one-stop shop of trusted and reliable information to assist every woman at every stage of her life. We know that the earlier conversations begin in a woman's life, the more potential there is for developing lifelong skills that contribute to financial well-being. And yet these conversations can be difficult. Some people find it hard to talk about money when they're in a relationship. Others find it hard to think about their financial futures. Or when they're young, they might not understand the value of superannuation, for example, or planning for the future. Some women can also feel embarrassed if they've been taken in by a scam or if they are in debt and not sure where to seek help or advice. These difficulties are all natural and understandable, but they can all be eased with the sharing of information and the building of knowledge.
And meanwhile, for older women, they may not have participated in the workforce because they've been raising children, or they've missed out on putting money towards superannuation, or perhaps they've left the managing of their financial matters to their husbands or partners. So the toolkit really is designed to help empower women of all ages backgrounds, and circumstances, whether you're young or old, whether you live in the city or the regions, whether you speak English as your main language or it's not your first language, whether you're rich or poor. We want to make sure that this toolkit is there to help you by providing you with the resources and information that supports you in your life's journey. The toolkit is accessible for all and includes a free national translating service in over 150 languages. And it's also got a web reader where an automated voice will navigate the toolkit for you. We know that providing women with easy access to free, trusted resources helps build their independence and security.
Which is so important for women of all ages and backgrounds, Talene, as we know. In fact, today we are going to discuss an issue that can impact women of all ages, which is economic abuse and financial abuse. And we'll also talk about elder abuse as well. We'll talk about the different forms that these abuses can take, the behaviours to be aware of, but also where help can be found, most importantly. I would like to note for our audience today, though, that this topic may be triggering for survivors. So a warning that any of the topics raised today, if they cause issues or concerns, please contact 1-800-RESPECT or Lifeline on 13 11 14.
Thanks so much, Julia. When we were building the toolkit, the main aim was to really bring together all of these great trusted resources that women could learn from. We also wanted to make sure that if there is a particular problem women were facing regarding access to money or their ability to earn money or obtain other economic resources, they could find some great ideas about their options through the toolkit. We want to make sure that the toolkit is an awareness raising resource, shining a light on some of the really critical issues that women face. For young women, the toolkit may lead them to think about things they may have previously been unaware of. And it may help them to understand more about their rights in a relationship, to understand more about what is and what is not okay. And in talking about the toolkit, I'm really pleased that we can use this as an opportunity to raise awareness around economic and financial abuse, as well as elder abuse.
Absolutely, Talene. And I think this is a really important moment to draw attention to the difference between financial and economic abuse. So financial abuse is when someone takes away your access to money or manipulates your financial decisions or perhaps even uses your money without your consent. Where economic abuse involves someone controlling, exploiting or sabotaging economic resources. So it might be something like stopping them from finding a job, limiting the hours they work, not supporting promotion opportunities, or even interfering with them being able to work from home. Evidence currently suggests that economic abuse is a core feature of control in most intimate partner violence and is significantly associated with other forms of violence, including physical, sexual, emotional, and psychological abuse. And it can leave people feeling vulnerable, isolated, depressed, anxious. It can really take away someone's independence. Financial and economic abuse can happen to anyone. The abuser could be a partner, a family member, carer, or a friend.
It's really important for young women to also learn to recognize some of those warning signs of financial and economic abuse. And some of those examples include interfering with their partner's ability to work productively at home, such as preventing or interrupting their access to the internet or their laptop or phone, or refusing to even share in childcare responsibilities, or maybe they've even stopped childcare payments. Sometimes you might even see a partner stopping them from working at all or withholding and controlling access to the resources, including money. Your partner may even be involved in financial decisions that affect you, or they could force you to access your superannuation early, or in some cases may even force you to make fraudulent claims for financial support payments. Other examples could also include control of when and how you spend the money, dictating what you can buy, and making sure that you justify every purchase made and checking your receipts. Your partner could also withhold access to money and make you use them for money or provide you with an allowance. Another example is limiting control of the use of property, such as your mobile phone or car. Some partners even insist that all economic assets like your savings and house are only in their name, or they may keep all of your financial information a secret from you altogether.
It's just terrible, Talene. And the outcome for many victims of economic abuse who leave the relationship is that they can actually continue to be legally responsible for some of these long-term debts and loss of assets that they've been coerced into. So these impacts can be lasting. And this abuse can have short-term and lifelong impacts on the economic and financial security of victim survivors. Young women may also want to check out the Money Smarts Relationships and Money resource that we've got linked on the toolkit. As the resource states, the earlier you start talking about the finances with your partner, the better. Understand each other's general attitude to money. Be clear about your financial goals, both short and long term. Knowing these things can help build a strong foundation for a healthy relationship with each other and with money. Elder financial abuse is also a serious problem. Older people can be more vulnerable to financial abuse because they depend on others for help with financial tasks and decisions. Elder abuse comes in many forms, including physical, psychological, neglect, sexual abuse. However, neglect and financial abuse are unfortunately the most common. Elder abuse is underreported, which makes it difficult to record just how prevalent it is in Australia. The World Health Organization describes elder abuse as a single or repeated act or lack of appropriate action occurring within any relationship where there is an expectation of trust which causes harm or distress to an older person. Studies show that in Australia, only 1 in 5 cases of elder abuse is reported, leaving a large majority of elders unable or unwilling to speak out. It's often difficult to spot elder abuse because in many cases, the perpetrator is a family member, friend or carer. Sometimes the abuser may not even be aware they are abusing their family member, or the victim may not understand that they are being taken advantage of. It's really tricky. And additionally, it can be harder for an older person to admit to the abuse if the perpetrator is family and they don't want to get them in trouble. My friend's grandmother was actually abused when she became frail and reliant on her son who moved in with her. He claimed a carer's allowance, stole her pension, sold her all of her valuable antiques online, as well as neglected her health and well-being. Eventually, he tried to move her into a nursing home and attempted to sell her home for his own profit. And the New South Wales trustee and guardian became involved. And after a process, he was removed from her home, which was then sold, and the proceeds funded her to move back to a nursing home where she received the care and attention which had been lacking for many years. Unfortunately, scenarios like this are all too common, Talene.
It's so upsetting, Julia, to see that the most vulnerable in our community are taken advantage of. And unfortunately, I also know of these sorts of stories within my community. However, the availability of the internet is now at our fingertips, and hopefully older Australians are able to speak out more when they are being abused. Which brings us to the Women's Financial Toolkit and how it can help women in these circumstances. The Women's Financial Toolkit links you to trusted places where you can find out more about forms of abuse and how to get help. The toolkit has 3 main categories. The first category is the Everyday Money Matters, which has resources for budgeting, getting to work, for example, preparing for an interview, or if you wanted to start a business. The second category is Help with Unexpected Issues, which has resources for disasters or emergencies or money concerns. And the third category is Planning for the Future, which has resources for different life stages, for example, giving birth or events and investing in your financial future. It's this second category, helping with unexpected issues, where women can access information if they're worried about their situation or someone else's. Here, you'll find free and confidential advice through the link to ASIC's Money Smart website, which has a page on financial abuse and where to find help. Some of those key services we provide contact information for are in the toolkit, but they include, for example, the Redfern Legal Services Financial Abuse Service, where you can get free confidential legal information and advice about financial abuse. Or maybe you're more elderly or a person with a disability. So the resources also include the New South Wales Ageing and Disability Helpline for those with concerns for financial abuse of older people or people living with a disability. There's also the Relationships Australia site for family counselling, mediation, and dispute resolution services. The Elder Abuse Victim Support Helpline is also included, as well as the National Debt Helpline, should you be in debt due to a form of financial abuse. We've also got the 1800 RESPECT hotline for national sexual assault, domestic and family violence counselling services. Remember, there's never an excuse for abuse, and we will just end with a couple of tips on how to prevent becoming a victim of financial, economic, or elder abuse. The first tip is to stay in touch with people you trust and don't be afraid to talk up about any concerns you have. The second tip is regularly check your bank and credit card statements for unauthorized transactions. And banks are getting much better at being able to track these sorts of transactions and are prepared to talk to those who might be affected. The third tip is to open your own email and store important documents and account logins and passwords in a safe and secure place. The fourth tip is if you lend money to someone, put it in writing and make a plan with them for repayment. And importantly, never sign documents you don't understand. And where possible, make sure that you get some independent and confidential legal or financial advice. And finally, ask someone that you trust to check that the person who's managing your money is doing it in your best interests.
Absolutely, Talene. So the message today is protect yourself and your money. We encourage you to visit the Women New South Wales website to access the Women's Financial Toolkit at any time for help or advice.
Thanks, Julia. We believe one of the ways that women can really feel empowered is to take control of their financial lives. And the Women's Financial Toolkit is here to help you to achieve this. Thank you so much for joining us today.